What's going on, guys? Dan back here with the Regular Guy Garage. Quick mustache update. It's still pretty terrible. But like I said, doing it for a good cause. So anyway, let's get into what we're doing with the car. So if you may have heard me mention in the last video, I am going to be doing a set of rear gears in the car. The car I thought initially had a 355 rear, but after doing some calculations as far as what the RPM was and the mile per hour in the quarter mile, which I was turning about 5,500 RPM, and we crossed at about 113.5, 113.9, I think. So roughly 113 miles an hour. That actually equated in the calculator with the 1-to-1 drive ratio, which I was in with the C4, to a 373 gear. So I thought we were gonna be going from a 355 up to a 411 or 410s actually, but we're going to go from a 373 to a 410. And so while I don't think we will see a massive gain in our track times, we're definitely going to gain something. I mean, it's going to gain some probably 60-foot time, which will really help our 8th mile time. And then we're going to sacrifice a little bit of mile an hour on the top end, but with where we're at, we should still cross the finish line at I should cross at about 6,000 RPM in 3rd gear, which means we have used our entire power band, transmission, everything. It's honestly good for where we're at with our power level now. Now you might be asking, like, Dan, what are you gonna do when you start putting more power on this car? You're talking about doing a turbocharger and all that stuff. Well, let me just, for those who don't know, your actual rear tire size, going up in rear tire size can actually, or will actually increase your mile an hour. Right now it's a 26-inch tall tire, right? But I have over here a set of 28-inch tall tires, which came off the car. So when we actually do put some more power to this thing, all I really need to do is put that 28-inch tire back on, and that's gonna net us a lot, it'll probably net us at least 8 to 10 miles an hour, I think was what the calculator said. And that'll be more than enough for what we need, when we get to that point. I got the car jacked up. It's up on jack stands. I got the jack stands just supporting the rear axle. What I'm gonna do is get the, I got the tires off already, obviously. Take the brake caliper off, take the brake rotors off. Then we'll go ahead and move under the car. Underneath the car, I will remove the rear differential cover as well as disconnect the drive shaft. I'm gonna do my best to video all of this for you guys. There's tons of videos, how-tos and stuff out there. We'll just take you guys along for the ride in mind. All right, guys, so got the brake rotors, brake calipers off. I got the drive shaft unhooked from up under the car. Now I'm gonna go ahead and attempt to not make a mess. I got some cardboard here, some old cardboard. I try and keep my garage floor as clean as possible, but that's not always the case. And then I got my little oil catch thingy. I'm gonna let you guys watch and see if I make a gigantic mess. All right, so for those who have not seen inside of a 8.8 rear or any rear differential, this is pretty much what you're looking at here. Big thing to note, if you are trying to tackle this for the first time on this 8.8, is these arrows on the rear housing. They should be pointing out. I actually did have the last rear that I built. The arrows on one side were facing inward and then the other side was facing outward. And what I did was I just put it back together that way because I had assumed that it had built some sort of wear pattern. But this is essentially what you want it to look like, okay? And then here's the actual, there's some clutch packs. And so this rear actually looks like it was gone over not too long ago. It doesn't look too bad. So it should be a pretty straightforward gear swap, gear change. We'll see how it goes. So the next thing on the agenda for us, we are gonna take this cross pin bolt out. So basically we are gonna remove this and then we'll be able to take this pin out. And so the reason why we need to do that, if you don't know, is then you take the cross pin out, which is right here, and then we can push the axles inward to remove the C-clips out of, so that this way we can slide the axles out, which you need to do in order to, get the rear differential out of the car. So I'm gonna do that really quick. Hard for me to kind of film down here, so we'll pick it back up here in a quick second. So the cross pin and cross pin bolt are out. And now what I'm gonna show you is how to remove, or well, I'm gonna show you what it looks like when you remove this axle. So I don't know if you can see it right now, but basically that big spring right there, right in the middle of it, is where the axle is. And so all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push inward. All right, so that should be, there you go right there. Now you can see it. And what I'm gonna do is, really quick, I'm gonna push inward on the axle. Let me see if I can reach it. If I can get it to, there you go, boom. So now what we're gonna do is take a magnet, and this magnet will then fish that C-clip out. Gotta make sure, you know, you dip it in a giant chunk of oil like I just did first. All right, guys, so it took me a minute, because I was trying to do it with one hand. As soon as I put the camera down, I pulled it right out. But basically, that's what you're pulling out. You're pulling that out of that little hole right there. Comes right out very easily. So now I can remove the axle from that side. I'm gonna do the other side really quick. And now we are going to take the carrier assembly out. And so we need to make sure that these caps, remember, like I said with the arrows, but they also need to be side specific. So I wiped them down real quick. I'm gonna mark these left and right. We'll pull these out, and then we can slide this whole carrier out and go from there. All right, so here is what we are looking at. We got the carrier assembly out along with the pinion gear. And so I didn't really film this part because it's pretty tough. There's a nut that goes on here and it's relatively tight. I want to say it's in like the 200 plus foot-pound range of torque because you are crushing this sleeve right here when you actually tighten it down. So I know there's like a super proper way to do this, right? You got to check the pinion depth, you know, before putting the pinion gear back in and all that stuff. I don't have a pinion depth checking tool and I'm not spending the money on it. So I'm just going to use the method that I have always used, which I'm not telling you to do this. This is just what I do. And I think for the application that I'm using it for, it'll be more than okay. It goes between this bearing and the ring gear. Or the pinion gear, sorry. And all that I do is I pull this this bearing off, and then I just take those shims out and put them onto the new pinion gear. This isn't the first rear I've ever built, but any rear that I have built, that's the way that I've done it. And I've even had it to where I did check pinion depth, and then what I would have ended up having to do anyway was just put that gear back on, or that shim back on. So from that, not changing any of these bearings. You know, I'll change this bearing, and then I'm going to change the other bearing that's in the housing for the new pinion gear, but for the new pinion shaft. But I'm not changing these, and the reason is because I don't plan on keeping this rear carrier in the car. I'm eventually going to do a spool setup, but you know, for now, I'm just going to change and put the ring gear on here, get the pinion set up, and then we'll go ahead and throw the whole thing back in the car. All right, guys, so we're in the process of putting the new ring gear on. There's the old ring gear there. So the kit that I got comes with new bolts and some red thread locker. So the ring gear is it's a pretty tight fit. Honestly, all of this stuff is pretty tight fit. And so what I will recommend is run all of the bolts in, right? Get all of your bolts in so the ring gear is up, seated properly, and then take the bolts out and then do your thread locker. You'll thank me later. All right, so we got the pinion gear in the car last night. It's all torqued down. And right now what I'm doing is getting my shims together. I measured out the old ones, and I'm gonna go ahead and stick the carrier up into the car. At which point after that, I will go ahead and check the backlash. So I got the rear all bolted in, or the differential all bolted in. Check the wear pattern. Everything looks good. Good backlash. I'm going to move along and get the axles put back in the car, and then we'll finish up cleaning up the housing area. Got to clean some of that RTV off, and then we'll go ahead and finish it up. All right, so the gears are done. I got to a point where I just got way too oily to work the camera, which is my cell phone. So I got it all put back together. Everything looked good after I checked that wear pattern. You know, just threw the axles in, bolted everything back up. And now I'm gonna go ahead and start the car and take it for a ride. Now when you first start driving with the new gears, you don't really get on it too hard. You just kind of cruise around, you fluctuate the RPM and stuff. Let the gears develop some sort of wear pattern. All right, guys, so the car feels much quicker. I mean, I didn't even dip into full throttle at all, but I'm really anxious to get it out to the track. I'm going to do a little bit more street driving just so I can get the gears to develop a wear pattern before I actually take it out there and start beating on it. But there is a track day tomorrow. The track's a little bit far. It's about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours from here. So haven't decided if I'm going to get out there or not. It depends on what the weather's going to do, plus whatever else I got going on. So anyway, guys, that's it. Got the 410 gears in the car. Should pick us up a few tenths. If anything, I'll be back probably at Thunder Valley if they're out there again next week. So if you guys like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Check out the playlist for this build, plus many other playlists from the builds that I've done. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.